physical cash.
Well, yeah, it's almost a
always goes
cashless.
back to the same thing, Michael.
It's almost a cashless society now. I said this 5 years ago. I said you stand in line at a store and be be eighth or ninth in line and watch everybody. And the only one that puts actual cash on the counter is the little kid who wants to buy the Starburst.
But Michael, I still use cash. I still use cash when I can.
And now,
so do
I would recommend, and something that I've endorsed for a very long time, do you have a few dollars saved up at the end of the week or the end of the month, whatever it is, convert it into silver. If you live in the United States, get yourself an American Silver Eagle minted by the U.S. Treasury Department. You can get them from coin deals, or you can get them directly from the Treasury Department. You're going to pay a premium for them. They're 0.999% pure silver. They look just like a silver dollar, and guess what? They are a silver dollar. And if we go to a cashless society, that is money there. That is real money that you will have.
We pretty much have. You bring up suspicion when you go and you start doing things by cash, especially in large amounts. So we have a
Michael, I've been questioned on that.
Oh, I was too.
Deposits.
When I had my landscape and construction business, I remember I went in to take. I think it was about $4,000 I was taking out at one shot, and I mean it was like I came in there with a gun. I mean it's like I had to explain to them what I was doing. I said, it's none of your damn business what I'm doing.
Sign that form, sign this other form.
Yeah.
And, dotted here.
And we'll see if we can approve it. I'm like, you want to see me come in here with a gun? Tell me I can't have my money.
Michael, Peter, when I was in Texas buying equipment, when I had my restaurant equipment company, okay, and I was banking with Chase at that time, the biggest criminal organization on the planet, by the way, run by Jamie Dimon. When I went to Chase, it was a smaller banking institution, but it's still a Chase bank. And I said, I need $10,000 in cash because I'm going to be purchasing some equipment. They looked at me like I had a third eye in my head because they didn't have the cash on hand. I had to wait 2 days for them to get physical cash in their bank.
Oh, I believe
I could actually purchase.
I absolutely believe it.
I was given a check many years ago. And I went to the bank that check was drawn on, and I said, give me my money. And they said, we don't have it. You'll have to come back. And
right, we'll give you a check. You can use it on your credit card, Peter, but to have the physical cash, that's a no-no. Remember the video that went viral of the guy who tried to pay his mortgage at B of A in cash? And they treated him like a criminal. You guys all remember that video that went viral?
I remember hearing about it. I don't remember watching it or anything, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. Here's a question from Omar, and I think that's the last one we have for right now. Where does the 14.5 atmospheric pressure come from? I don't know what.
Oh, I can answer that one.
Everything over the top of us.
Yeah,
I can definitely answer that one.
Go ahead. I guess it's all you.
Okay. Has anybody been watching? Okay, there's the helium count, and they've taken that down recently, and then they have remanipulated the numbers to make us all believe that the helium-1, helium-2, and helium-3 count are normal. Guess what? They're not. That is all coming from the extrasolar body that is in our system that is pushing the helium-3 exponentially towards our little blue planet. And no one has an explanation for this. When you have extrasolar particles which are being projected towards our planet, what you have is an exponential inflammation of all the active particles that exist around our planet. Well, we have helium, we have hydrogen, we have oxygen, and then get into the very small atoms, the neutrons, the electrons, and the atoms, which are punching through Earth's atmosphere. Has anybody noticed how in the wintertime now, and I noticed it the other day, actually, I was out playing a round of golf with a friend of mine, and I actually get to do that once in a while because I can't afford it, but he pays for it. It's the middle of winter, but yet I feel the scorching sun on my arms and my face, and I'm actually having to put on, a sunblock so I'm not getting burned.
And
this is what's happening. This is what's happening.
I felt that in January. I was standing out. We had a warm day in January, and I thought, my, the sun is awful strong for this time of year.
Exactly, Peter.
Yeah, and
This is what's happening.
folks, we're missing some questions. So if your question didn't get answered, it's because we got a whole bunch of other junk that came in with them, and so I had to just get rid of it all because it was just too much to go weed through. So if I missed your question, you could resend it, and that's the best we could do because people don't follow
Michael,
rules.
Michael, the one thing I wanted to ask Dr. Rand last time we had a conversation, and this was so interesting to me, and I know it's a little bit off subject, but it is interdimensional, kind of what we've been talking about. Dr. Rand, we were talking about the little people, and I found it so interesting that you had this encounter with these, tiny little people, and you were saying they're interdimensional. Did they ever give you...
You're talking about my experience at Giant Rock.
Absolutely, I'm talking about that.
At Landers, yes. What is your question?
My question is this. Did they ever give you an indication that we were going to be facing this situation that we're looking at right now, physically on the planet, interdimensionally, I guess?
No. What they were communicating to me was the history of Giant Rock and the essence of the little baby hill mountain range that was located directly behind Giant Rock itself. Apparently, that was the site. Okay, let me go back. Over thousands of years, the rock itself would draw people from all over the West Coast. These were some of them go back to even primitive people. More recently, from the 15th to, let's say, the 18th century, it was attracting various Indian tribes. That site itself is where two major ley lines crisscross, and it is at the center of that. Just imagine two huge lines that overlap each other.
Yeah, they're ley lines.
These are major ley lines that occur in that particular area of California. And the integratron itself is built directly over the intersection of these two major ley lines, which is what gives it its perpetual power. And the people that are controlling it now have no idea that the real mechanism was installed underneath the concrete floor, and it's perpetual, and it's still ongoing. It produces a beacon-like laser-type generated signal that goes straight up into the heavens. And this is how UFOs and ships like that navigate in our atmosphere. Now, I digressed from the little people. What they were telling me was, because this is what I asked them. I asked them, could you give me the history of Giant Rock and why and where this rock came from? And they said that they don't even know how it got there. Keep in mind, this boulder weighs 1,000 tons. It's huge.
That's extraordinary.
It's several stories high. It's 80 people could group together and circle it, and they would not be big enough to encompass it. There is no physical or reasonable explanation of where that rock came from. Do you understand? There's no mountain around there where it could have been blown out of from a volcanic explosion. When I asked them specifically, they said that it was placed there to balance off the electromagnetic energies in the area because what the rock contained was certain minerals and elements that were needed to balance the electromagnetic ley lines that ran through that area. And that's what was attracting people all through the ages to come there, mostly drawn to pray and to meditate. And of course, the last 300-400 years, the American Indian cultures of that area, and I understand there were at least 4 major Indian cultures that would come there. They would not fight. They would come there for 10 days of communication, relaxation, spiritual redemption, and that the little baby mountain behind it, which is now barren, was like an oasis. It had freely running springs, it had fruit trees, it provided all the food and nourishment that they needed, and that it provided shelter for them. There were small caves that apparently even back then, the more important people, could stay in the caves at night, while the rest of them, were out in their teepees or whatever form of shelter that they brought with them. And that also explains why George Van Tassel was able to produce these incredible UFO conventions. He did this for about 9 years running. And he even plowed out a runway that could take small planes in up to twin engine, big King Airs and Piper Twins, and that even back then in the 50s into the 60s, there was still water available up in that area, and he had rigged some kind of a cistern system that he would collect the water and send it down. I remember when I first got there, the water tank was still there. After he died, the government came in, and they cleared off all the buildings, they cleared off the water tower, and they filled in under the rock. They desecrated everything that was there. That was part of their way of getting back at him, because he would never give up the secrets of what the Integratron did. Now, that's also covered in my book. Another plug, at the very end, I have 4 pages devoted to the Integratron, to the little people, and to the UFO conventions that took place in Landers. So that's my explanation to you on the little people. Now, they are multidimensional. Yes. They are highly intelligent. Yes. They're very spiritual. Yes. And they could communicate. Now, they communicated telepathically. They weren't speaking to me in little tiny voices, which I get a lot of people who like to pick at that. I personally, as described in my memoir, I have a fourth racer black crystal microchip implant in my frontal lobe that allows me, now I must admit, I have not been practicing and I haven't met anyone that I can really communicate with, but I'm able to pick up, especially in a crowd, every once in a while, I'll pick up some really weird thoughts, and sometimes it's extremely disturbing, and I always distance myself from that person, because what I've found out is that they can pick up on me reading them, and many people get incensed and violent because they feel that you're invading their personal privacy and their thinking, which is not what I do. If they give off a signal and I pick it up, it all has to do with the conversion of electromagnetic frequencies, which is what our thoughts are composed of. That's another whole show, Michael and guys. That's another whole show.
Okay, and we got about another, 15 minutes, not even, here to go. So any last impressions about Planet X and all that is? And I think we've got a couple more questions here. Someone says, I heard CERN is messing with our magnetic shield. Could this be the reason more UV rays are getting through? Guest thought.
Peter, step up.
I don't think that, well, yeah, when they turn it on, it's definitely going to affect it, because it's a huge magnet. So it's going to affect the magnetic field, kind of like, putting the shields up, so to speak. But it's not something that they can sustain. And I don't think, I think once they shut it back off, you're going to turn around and the magnetic field would try to readjust itself. But what we are actually seeing is a collapse of the magnetic field in where it normally is, and reemergences in other places. At least that's the latest data that I've seen. Well, it's already a couple of months old, but the magnetic field around Earth is changing. Exactly what's causing it?
Peter, I don't think it has anything to do with CERN.
No, it's got to be bigger than CERN.
Much, much bigger. You're talking about a very small blip on our a planet that has, they are giving it a whole bunch of electrical power in order to make that thing run. My personal opinion is that they are trying to open up. Take it with a grain of salt, folks, because I don't know if I really believe this either. They're trying to open up some sort of portal, I guess. And I've heard the different stories, I'm sure, as you all have, on many different websites. But I just don't know. I think they're trying to explore, the deep inner space. Of course, they're trying to penetrate the atom. And maybe they discovered, an interdimensional hole, which possibly has opened the eyes of the so-called, white scientists instead of dark scientists who already have all this technology. I'm not real sure about that, but my personal opinion is no. No, they haven't been able to do much of anything with that except cause people a whole bunch of problems and energy depletion.
I would agree with you on that. A little bit more on what I think that they're trying to do, and here again, based on biblical prophecy. All the prophecies in Revelation chapter 8 are complete. And now we go into Revelation chapter 9, which is essentially a continuation. And this is where the fallen star is given the key to the pit of the abyss. And when you research what the pit is, it's pretty much the same thing as what Peter and Jude talked about, and also talked about in the Book of Enoch, as Tartarus, which would seem to be an interdimensional or another dimension into which the most corrupt of interdimensional life forms have been sentenced to, basically an interdimensional prison. And what I believe they are trying to do with CERN is to open up a gateway between what is known as Tartarus, or the pit, and here planet Earth. I try to ignore the connection between CERN and Revelation chapter 9. When I say ignore it, look for other explanations. But when you read the events of Revelation 9 and you look at what they might be trying to do with CERN, it's like, uh-oh.
Well, that doesn't sound like a very good idea.
Well, yeah.
And I agree. I agree, but one quick point. I mean, if you have this whole pedogate that's really been blown wide open, when you're looking at a photograph of the pedo podesta holding up the fish sign, the 14 in the, I believe, in the right hand, the fish, and the 14 in the right hand, trying to basically tell the rest of his pedo buddies, hey, you know what? We're Satanists. We perform certain acts, and we are demonists. It would tell me this, Peter, and this is just the flip side of this, is that they are practicing and participating in satanic ritualistic scenarios where and we're talking about top governmental officials, which can be as high as it can possibly get without being, figureheads, because they've always put themselves in the background, but yet now they've all been exposed at this point, that they maybe are trying to, extend their lives, be rulers of the planet, which, kind of falls in line of the whole New World Order thing. But I'm not sure how succinctly that all falls in line.
It's all connected, trust me.
Got a question. I was going to say there's a question here about the overflow of the Oroville Dam as well. People asking for comments on that. I don't know. You think it's going to get worse or better? I don't know. California didn't like Trump, and now they're being punished. See?
Michael,
don't go against God.
I mean, come on, guys.
No.
All you got to do is follow what's going on. I mean, there's another big, heavy rainfall coming in. I'm in Arizona. I'm the direct descendant of what's happening there right now. We're talking another heavy downpour that's happening right now. And by the way, it's not just the Oroville Dam. Almost all the dams in California at capacity. That's not the only thing they're dealing with. It's just that overspill has been breached and severely breached with the damaging of the emergency overspill that's in major danger. But now that the other water is coming down, God forbid, I hope that doesn't happen. You're talking about 200,000 people losing everything they have in an instant. I hope that doesn't happen. But I'm just laying it out for you as it is right now. You've got
Robert. It's a matter of the chickens coming home to roost. They
I
had
agree.
the opportunity.
Jason, I agree with you.
7 years ago, they were told, they were warned by the Corps of Engineers and a number of other credible environmental agencies that they had to reinforce both. There's two spillways, one on either side. Both of those were severely damaged in previous breaches 20 years ago. And
You're absolutely right.
The Democrats, who've been running California for like the last, 50, 60 years, they said, let's not worry about it. And so they poured all that money into other wasteful projects when they should have been dealing with it.
And the people allowed it. The people there sat back and didn't do anything about it. You want to go protest and break windows and all that when a conservative wants to speak. You should have been standing up when you seen that there was a problem with these levees and these dams. So they better get busy. It's time to speak up. Might be too late.
Hey, Michael, you know what I think, Michael? I think they're going to take Mike Brown and bring him over to the dam and make him physically try and plug up that dam.
I'd plug it with him.
Do something for the first time in his life. Actually do something for the first time in his life.
You're talking about
Jerry Brown,
Jerry
excuse me, not Michael. Jerry Brown, thank you. Make him actually physically do something for the first time in his life.
Well, plug the hole with him.
There's one other situation that's going on here.
Maybe he could Twitter around with Linda Ronstadt and maybe have her conjure up some black magic and fix the hole.
Hey, Ira's here with us too. There, he just tuned. Sorry, Ira, I had to bring you in. Skype's being a little, you know what?
No problem. I know how it is.
Oh, is that our hero?
Hey guys, I just had to call in real quick. Ira? I'm doing. It's an interesting night. Let's just put it to you that way. But I had to throw in here real quick. You guys were mentioning that storm over there on the West Coast. Do you guys know what they named that storm? Did you guys catch the name of it?
No.
Lucifer.
Lucifer.
Get the hell out of here! Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Oh, Jesus!
Now, there's one other thing that's going on here, which nobody is taking into consideration. Yeah, the dams are all filled, but with this storm, which is supposed to drop somewhere between 2 and 12 inches, let's just take a medium of 6. That's
Peter,
approximately
Peter,
30.
that 2 and 12 inches is a lie. That's another lie.
What's
not 2 and 12
down?
inches. It's supposed to be 2 to 3 feet. It's a massive overflow of water that's coming in. That's another lie, and that's all they do is lie and lie and lie.
Okay, well, I did the calculations on 6 inches per square foot. You're looking at 31 pounds per square foot of pressure, just based on those numbers. If it's 2 to 3 feet, let's just take 2 feet, okay? If that's the case, we're now looking at 128 pounds of pressure per square foot.
Listen, are you serious? They called this thing Lucifer.
Yeah, it's named Lucifer.
I've got to turn the Weather Channel on here, and then I'm going to mute it. So bear with me for a minute, folks. I wouldn't normally do this, but I mean, if that's the case, if I was you in California, I'd get the hell out of there.
Think about it. Think about what they said. They called it an oceanic river coming in from the clouds.
You got it exactly.
This is what they called it.
Yep, you got it exactly. Guys, I got to take off, but I just had to toss that in there. I didn't know if you guys had caught that or not.
That was great. Yeah, I had seen that earlier today. Is Lucifer really? Okay. Well, it's California.
Ira, be good, Ira.
You too. Thanks for the call, Ira. Thanks.
Thank you, Ira.
Yeah, thanks for adding some spice there. I mean, if that thing's really called Lucifer, and it's not that I don't believe him. I'm one of those guys.
I saw it, Michael.
Shit!
Lucifer. It's like, are you serious? Well, you got all those Satan worshippers out there.
Hey, Peter, they had the Baphomet sexual ritual opening of the tunnel in, what was it, Holland? I think it was.
No, it's in Switzerland. The world's longest tunnel.
Listen, I want to give advice.
The world's longest tunnel. It was all ghost heads and satanic rituals and sexual abominations.
Listen,
a lot of people believe that was connected to what they were trying to do at CERN. That's why they put on that show. It was the opening of the tunnel. The opening of the pit, and so it was a symbolic ritual for what they're trying to do with CERN, only adding more circumstantial evidence to the support of Revelation chapter 9, which when you read it, it's a release of an alien invasion on the planet. It's the rise of Apollyon. So
I'll tell you this, Peter.
Aliens.
They use the Bible as a playbook against humanity.
Well, you could say that, but this was something that was written, if they're following the script, then great. But this is something that John saw and recorded almost 2,000 years ago. So if they're following the playbook, it's pretty good because we got aliens. So when you look at it technically, yeah, we've got aliens that is going on, and if you want to talk about it technically, we're talking about Jesus, who may have had, it may be in his fourth reincarnation, if you want to call it that, because he starts off as the Word, then he becomes Michael, then he becomes Yeshua or Jesus, then he becomes the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, or he is the King of Kings and Lord of Lords now. So you've got four different entities tied up, or forms tied up in one entity, and that's where we are now. So we are in this regime change. And that's why I said we're going to have one timeline end. You know, the people that have been supporting this system and continue to support the system are being shown this terribly dramatic timeline. What I was shown was, you know, after I took this fantastic class,
I got to see this.
1978, I had to see what Armageddon was like, and so I went down into deep Delta and I saw what Armageddon, well, as much as I wanted to see, and then I didn't do any meditation for 3 years after that. So yeah,
I'd like to leave us with a Planet X thought, and then I'm going to get off the line
be
and let you guys take it. I'm concerned that at the end of 2017, September, October, November, if what my ET contact has told me over the last 3 months is accurate, although the time frame on the last thing I was told didn't happen in Mexico, although there was a dramatic increase in UFO sightings. They didn't land, and I think I figured out why. I'm told that this escalation, and we never really got to Earth changes tonight. I guess we got to do another show. The earthquake ratio right now is knocking them dead. The 6s, 7s, 8s are off the chart. There were 3 7.5s to 8s in the last 2 days in the Ring of Fire.
Jason, can I ask you?
Yes.
I was just going to ask you something, and if I think I'm correct, and when I do ask you this, were they all about 10 kilometers below ground?
Very shallow. They're getting stronger and shallower with each series. Now, if I'm correct, and I don't want to be correct, if I'm correct,
but you're going to be,
this next spate coming into the end of the summer could trigger a series of major global earthquakes, not just the Ring of Fire. And if we lose a couple of major cities, and if something drastic hits the Middle East, it will shut everything down, which means there won't be any threat of nuclear war, because if the major cultures are struck by this, meaning the Middle East, and we lose a few major cities, it's over. It's over. I went through the earthquake in '94 in Los Angeles. I lived through it. There was nothing where I lived, working for 3 weeks.
That was the Paloma earthquake, wasn't it, Jason? Paloma?
That was the Northridge.
That was Northridge? Okay.
But there were 2, and they lied. Here you go, guys. They lied like hell about it. There were 2 quakes. The Northridge quake triggered the Santa Monica quake. The Northridge quake, they said, was a 6.8. It was a 7.6. The quake that hit in the coast was a 6.8. They lied. Okay, trust me. They still haven't rebuilt parts of L.A.
But Jason, they would never lie to us. They would never lie to us.
No, of course not. Of course not. I know that. You know that.
Well, I'm looking right now. I'm looking right now where there's 2 cars swallowed in a sinkhole. This is in Studio City, California. Boy, there's a lot of water there. And I also see there's a lot of water. A lot of water footage. I'll tell you, that sinkhole don't look good. It swallowed a couple cars. But I haven't seen the name of this thing yet. It hasn't given no name.
Michael, mark my words, the next thing that's going to happen is that you've seen these massive sinkholes opening up because of the liquefaction that's taking place and the shift that's going to take place.
Hold on. Forced storm-related deaths in California, 61,000 customers without power in Los Angeles. LAPD says stay off the roads due to flooding. And I guess some people are saying they're not telling you just how bad it is. I don't know. Sorry about that, Robert, but I'm learning
Michael,
tonight. You got to push.
I know. The only thing I was going to say is the next thing to watch out for, and be aware of this. Watch all the newspaper websites worldwide. The next thing you're going to see, I swear to God, is we've seen big whole buildings being swallowed by sinkholes. I swear to you, the next thing you're going to see is an entire city block, or maybe several city blocks being swallowed by sinkhole, and that's when the SHIT is going to hit the fan, because it's never been seen before, and that's going to be a direct link to what's happening from our friendly planet X.
Guys, I don't want to be a stinker here, and this is really, you don't want to kick a state when they're down, but didn't they say they wanted to succeed from the United States? I bet they don't want that now.
Let them go, Michael.
Well, yeah.
They might sinkhole out of the United States.
They just might. They just might. I'm telling you, what I'm looking at right now, it reminds me, this is going to be much worse, but it reminds me of what we had here in Colombia, where the tropical storm parked over us and just kept dropping the water. Before you know it, I watched roads caving in, houses floating away. Thankfully, we didn't, we were up enough, high enough where we were located that the water came up our road, but it stopped a few houses before us. Thank God.
Hey, Michael, I'm sure CNN was there going, hey, there's nothing to see here, folks. Move on.
Oh, well, I don't know if they were. I didn't really travel around much, but yeah. I mean, and when I'm seeing right here, California, I'm telling you, if you are anywhere near any danger area of flooding, I wouldn't wait. I'd get out of there. I really would. I would get out of there. When I'm seeing, I'd get out of there. I mean, that's my advice.
There's nothing like being in a building. It was 4:20 a.m. in the morning when the quake hit. The building I was in was 2 stories. I was on the bottom. I remember hearing it before it hit. It was like, if you've ever been in a subway and you hear the train coming, and then you feel that rush of air through the tunnel.
It's the quickening.
It shook for 2 minutes and 22 seconds.
Wow.
I heard the walls coming apart. I heard my door snapping. A lock broke and went right through my headboard, missing me by about 6 inches. The block in the door was forced out by the tension of the twisting.
You
do not want to be in an earthquake, especially near the epicenter, which is where I was in the Studio City area that got hit.
Well, someone asked where I'm getting this info from. I'm getting it from I think the best place to look right now is the Weather Channel, because you're getting live footage. But we'll go ahead, Doctor.
They're by the way, they lie a lot too.
They do, but I mean, if you want to see what's going on, they're like,
Yeah, they try, but they're restricted.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah, I know. But I mean, when they go cameras live, I mean, I saw the sinkhole. I mean, so they didn't hide that. They showed it.
No. Guys, I'm going to let the rest of you guys carry the show. I'm going to be listening. I was just thinking back on that experience on the 17th of January, and I'm getting a little emotional because I almost died in that house, in that apartment.
I'm sorry about that, but you're alive.
Guys, thanks for being a part of the show. It was great. Michael, thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely, Dr. Rand. Thank you for joining us, my friend, and stay safe, and we'll talk again soon.
Jason, the best.
Another show, guys. Let's plan another show.
Jason, you take care of yourself, and hopefully we can do this again.
All right, Robert. Peter, you behave yourself now.
Oh, there's no fun in that.
I know you want to get back to the boonies, so just keep it together, Peter.
Yeah, we're waiting for the snow to melt. It's like watching paint dry. Only takes longer.
Yeah. All right, Dr. Rand, have a great night, and thank you, and keep your eyes posted to that storm, because you just, you're not near it, so blessings to you.
Keep one thing in mind. Everybody says that they have no idea how mental telepathy works. What in the hell do you think prayer is? Just think about that tonight.
Doctor,
what do you think prayer is?
That was something that I pondered years ago. It was after I had my first vision of the future and then living through it. It was like, okay, well, if I could pray to God and you could pray to God, how come we can't communicate to each other? And the truth is, we actually can. Science has unlock the key on this, and it happens in the theta state. And I did an experiment on this, and it was like surprising how well it does work. So I know exactly what they found because I conducted my own experiments before the scientific. I found out about the scientific ones. But when we get down to 7 hertz, the right hemisphere of the brain engages, and every human can have the knowledge of every other human on the planet, as long as that other person is also in sync with the same, with the same basic vibrations per second. So all brains that are at 7 hertz or below can communicate and do communicate, and we can know each other's knowledge. That's an interesting thing. If we ever started putting our mental capabilities together, we could certainly do whatever we wanted to do.
Well, Peter, how about this? That psychic communication happens with every human being on the planet. Hence, and I'm sure both of you are aware of the WebBot with Cliff High's work, where he
Absolutely.
captures the psychic consciousness of human beings and therefore is able to put out his report and has been accurate up to about 60%. But here's the even greater thought on that. I mean, the psychic connection, psychic communication I have with my mother. I'll have a thought, and she'll say exactly what I was thinking a few seconds after that. And I'm sure everybody has encountered that. And,
sure.
and that is psychic communication. That is the higher thought consciousness process that we are that we all have. Every single one of us. We are just so dumbed down with the so-called schooling of social skills, socialization, the utter nonsense of psychology that that has no place in our social society. But the reality is that everything they've taught us is all a bunch of nonsense, and what we actually understand, that we are capable of understanding consciously and higher consciously, is the truth. But we are just inundated with stupidity on a constant basis.
Well, here's a question.
Let's, guys. Okay, go ahead. But I'm going to give you the floor, and Robert, I want to give you the floor, and we've got to end this thing here in a couple minutes.
Yeah, we're like going into an hour overtime. Yeah. Here's a real good question. One I've asked many times. How many times have you said to yourself, "I knew that was going to happen"?
Hundreds.
Yeah, so if you knew it was going to happen, why didn't you change what was going to happen so it didn't happen? See,
because I was too stupid to actually follow my higher conscious thought.
Yeah, now I'll give you a quick example of this, and then you have the floor. I was going to a going away party for someone, and we're notorious for black ice around here. And so I usually would take a shortcut, but I figured, I'm going to stay on the road more traveled. Well, just about a half mile before the shortcut, I get this vision, clear as day in my mind, that I'm on my way to the party, and this car skids on black ice, bounces off the guardrail, and hits me head on. Comes across the road and hits me head on. And I thought, you know what? If I'm not there, that possibly couldn't happen to me. So I said, I'll take the shortcut and be really easy, and I get to my destination, no issues. I go inside, and the hostess is just getting off the phone, and she says, "You're not going to believe this. Some people left the party here about 5 minutes ago, hit black ice out on 01, hit the guardrail, and totaled their car out on the other side of the road." I said, "Oh no, I believe
Peter,
that."
So Peter, you want some chills going up your spine? Going to a friend's house. I'm going to give you the same exact scenario. Go to a friend's house. I had to go back home. We were having a poker party. Going back home, having to get whatever I forgot. Driving back, a wave of information came over me saying that there was going to be a car that was going to pull out in front of me at a light. The light was red on their side. They were going to pull out in front of me, and there was going to be an accident. As soon as I realized that, I slowed down. The light turned red. The car pulled out right in front of me, and I averted the accident, which I could have been severely injured or killed. Same scenario. This happens to everybody. That's a higher consciousness connection to the Ethereum of the fourth and fifth and sixth dimensional planes and every plane above that. Either that's direct intervention being sent to us by higher conscious beings, or because our mind is connected to them, everything is instantaneous. Like I said, in the universe, everything exists simultaneously, and we were just able to capture in our small third-dimensional world being consciousness that we were able to capture and bring that down to avert a serious disaster.
Well, this has been my life's work since the age of 9, now going on 52 years.
Well, you got me by 2 years, Peter.
But it was at the age of 9 that I got to see the future, and then I lived through it. I had a dream, and exactly what, almost identically to what happened in the dream, I lived through real life about a week later, and I had to know how that was possible. It created a paradox in my life, which sent me down the scientific trail to answer metaphysical questions, and then that turned into taking all the miracles in the Bible and converting them into scientific explanations. And that's when I started that project. I found nothing but science from Genesis right to Revelation.
Oh, incredible.
So, yeah,
incredible.
It's all science. And here's the wild part of it. The science that we need to comprehend the Bible, the true message in the Bible, hasn't been invented since my conception. 1955, we discovered DNA, and right in Genesis, you need to know biological engineering in order to eliminate the miracle of the creation of Eve, or the creation of Adam, or the creation of every other life form on this planet. And so it all combines together in the prime directive to send us into the future. It's all there. We have a marvelous future. We are on what we could call an evolutionary path, but it's a spiritual evolutionary path along with a DNA regeneration. And so
the cleansing, exactly. You have to cleanse in order to move forward. Michael, I know this is going to be short, so I'm going to say I want to thank you very much for having me as a guest on your show tonight. I love calling into your show. I love talking to your guests. I hope we can do this again. Please continue your network. You're one of the few that perpetuates the idea of open talk, real open talk without any nonsense. You allow everybody the floor and give everybody their due diligence in expressing themselves. I just want to thank you again. I've really enjoyed this, and I hope we can do it again, Michael.
All right, thank you. And Peter, thank you as well. Anything else, guys, before we're done?
Robert, it's been a pleasure talking with you this evening. And Michael, thank you for having us on the show. Folks, if you haven't read it yet, Letters to Earth, The Future is Yours. You can get it at Barnes & Noble, Amazon.com, or you can go to my website, www.peterkling.com, and if you make a donation, I'll send you a PDF copy of it. So with that, I'm going to say love and blessings to all. Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Michael, thank you for the format. Robert, it's been a pleasure talking to you, as I said. Love and blessings to all.
Same here, Peter. Thank you.
All right, good night, Peter. And Robert, thank you so much, my friend, and good night to you as well.
Thank you, Michael.
Good night. Good night. Have a good one. All right,
You
folks.
too.
So there they go. Interesting. I mean, it wasn't all Planet X, but then it never is. I mean, when you got as much time as we've had tonight, you're going to move along to other things. I've been watching this, and I don't know who got the Lucifer name, but I yet to see anything come up and call this storm Lucifer. Not saying that it's not so. If it is, they might have changed their mind on that because I'm not seeing it. But if it really is named Lucifer, I would get the hell out of Dodge if it was me. But that's just if it was me. All right, so coming up next is Duct Tape Nation, recorded show. That's why we've gone over tonight. When we come back Monday, we should have our phone lines working just fine, and we should be golden come Monday. So. Folks, with that, let's see. Wait a minute before I go. Let's see what Ira just sent me here. He's going to prove it to me that it's called Lucifer. That's what I love about our people here. They're going to make sure they're not going to make me wait for the fake weather news. He's going to give it to me right here. Let's see. California weather and storm. Lucifer. 5 fast facts you need to know. How come they're not calling it Lucifer on here? How come I haven't seen it on there? I mean, yeah, okay, you could go fake news and this, that, all you want, but how come I'm not seeing it on there? I mean, this site is heavy, okay, but I believe them. Well, listen, if it is called Lucifer, I highly suggest that you make your way out of hell, because that's about what it'll be. Hey, despite so many problems coming out of California these days, I do pray for you all there, and I hope that everybody, comes out of this unscathed. And I would just say, stay alert, be ready. In case anything happens, you might want to have a couple rubber rafts handy. I don't know. I'm not being funny. I'm just saying, counting on the government, I don't know. The government in California is pretty screwed up, so you better be ready. With that being said, keep your eyes posted to the sky because you never know what you might see. Unless, of course, you're in California. Don't look up, look down. You're going to get water.
Non-existent currencies are actual physical cash.
Well, yeah, it's almost a cashless.
It goes back to the same thing, Michael.
It's almost a cashless society now. I said this 5 years ago. I said you stand in line at a store and be 8th or 9th in line and watch everybody. And the only one that puts actual cash on the counter is the little kid who wants to buy the Starburst.
But Michael, I still use cash. I still use cash when I can.
Now,
so do
I would recommend, and something that I've endorsed for a very long time, do you have a few dollars saved up at the end of the week or the end of the month, whatever it is, convert it into silver. If you live in the United States, get yourself an American Silver Eagle minted by the U.S. Treasury Department. You can get them from coin deals, or you can get them directly from the Treasury Department. You're going to pay a premium for them. They're 0.999% pure silver. They look just like a silver dollar, and guess what? They are a silver dollar. And if we go to a cashless society, that is money there. That is real money that you will have.
We pretty much have. You bring up suspicion when you go and you start doing things by cash, especially in large amounts. So we have a
Michael, I've been questioned on that.
Oh, I was too. Deposits. When I had my landscape and construction business, I remember I went in to take. I think it was about $4,000 I was taking out at one shot, and I mean it was like I came in there with a gun. I mean it's like I had to explain to them what I was doing. It's not your damn business what I'm doing.
Sign that form, sign this other form.
Yeah.
And, dotted here.
And we'll see if we can approve it. I'm like, you want to see me come in here with a gun? Tell me I can't have my money.
Michael, Peter, when I was in Texas buying equipment, when I had my restaurant equipment company, okay, and I was banking with Chase at that time, the biggest criminal organization on the planet, by the way, run by Jamie Dimon. When I went to Chase, it was a smaller banking institution, but it's still a Chase bank. And I said, I need $10,000 in cash because I'm going to be purchasing some equipment. They looked at me like I had a third eye in my head because they didn't have the cash on hand. I had to wait 2 days for them to get physical cash in their bank.
I believe
I could actually purchase mine.
I absolutely believe it.
I was given a check many years ago. And I went to the bank that check was drawn on, and I said, give me my money. And they said, we don't have it. You'll have to come back. And
right, we'll give you a check. You can use it on your credit card, Peter, but to have the physical cash, that's a no-no. Remember the video that went viral of the guy who tried to pay his mortgage at B of A in cash? And they treated him like a criminal. You guys all remember that video that went viral?
I remember hearing about it. I don't remember watching it or anything. But, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Here's a question from Omar, and I think that's the last one we have for right now. Where does the 14.5 atmospheric pressure come from? I don't know what.
Oh, I can answer that one.
Everything over the top of us.
Yeah,
I can definitely answer that one.
Go ahead. I guess it's all you.
Okay. Has anybody been watching? Okay, there's the helium count, and they've taken that down recently, and then they have remanipulated the numbers to make us all believe that the helium-1, helium-2, and helium-3 count are normal. Guess what? They're not. That is all coming from the extrasolar body that is in our system that is pushing the helium-3 exponentially towards our little blue planet. And no one has an explanation for this. When you have extrasolar particles which are being projected towards our planet, what you have is an exponential inflammation of all the active particles that exist around our planet. Well, we have helium, we have hydrogen, we have oxygen, and then get into the very small atoms, the neutrons, the electrons, and the atoms which are punching through Earth's atmosphere. Has anybody noticed how in the wintertime now, and I noticed it the other day actually, I was out playing a round of golf with a friend of mine, and I actually get to do that once in a while because I can't afford it, but he pays for it. It's the middle of winter, but yet I feel the scorching sun on my arms and my face, and I'm actually having to put on, a sunblock so I'm not getting burned.
And
this is what's happening. This is what's happening.
I felt that in January. I was standing out. We had a warm day in January, and I thought, "My, the sun is awful strong for this time."
Exactly, Peter.
Yeah, and
This is what's happening.
Folks, we're missing some questions. So if your question didn't get answered, it's because we got a whole bunch of other junk that came in with them, and so I had to just get rid of it all because it was just too much to go weed through. So if I missed your question, you could resend it, and that's the best we could do because people don't follow rules.
Michael, the one thing I wanted to ask Dr. Rand last time we had a conversation, and it was so interesting to me, and I know it's a little bit off subject, but it is interdimensional, kind of what we've been talking about. Dr. Rand, we were talking about the little people, and I found it so interesting that you had this encounter with these, tiny little people, and you were saying they're interdimensional. Did they ever give you...
You're talking about my experience at Giant Rock.
Absolutely, I'm talking about that.
At Landers, yes. What is your question?
My question is this. Did they ever give you an indication that we were going to be facing this situation that we're looking at right now, physically on the planet, interdimensionally, I guess?
No. What they were communicating to me was the history of Giant Rock and the essence of the little baby hill mountain range that was located directly behind Giant Rock itself. Apparently, that was the site. Okay, let me go back. Over thousands of years, the rock itself would draw people from all over the West Coast. These were some of them